Parents and teachers will be all too aware that the second term of school, dotted with public holidays, last week, of course, ahead of Easter, a short learning week, as is this week. And then next week, schools will be closed. It was a decision made by the Department of Basic Education. I think it was in 2023 already, gazetting the school calendar for 2025, that because Freedom Day, the 27th of April, will be observed on the 28th, which is the Monday, and that because Workers' Day, the 1st of May, would be a Thursday, they take human behavior into consideration that many people will then decide to take the Friday off. And if people are already taking the Monday, the Thursday, and the Friday off, it's very, very likely, not likely, that there'll be much productivity on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. So the department says, well, we'll just make that entire week an extra week-long school holiday. But how do teachers ensure that learners are not losing out on the valuable education time? Basil Manuel, Executive Director of the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa. Good morning, Basil. This is generally a time of the year dotted with public holidays, not something that is completely novel, but what is interesting is this extra special week-long school holiday. Surely it's having an impact on learning and teaching?
Good morning, Lester. Thanks for having me. Lester, yes, it does impact on learning and teaching. But first of all, truancy is at its highest during these many little holidays. Besides just people who will keep their children out, many children just don't pitch. So it is less productive to have the children at school. So it's you're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, which is the greater evil. And so we part of the calendar committee, and we supported the notion that we close, noting that there's no loss of teaching time because this year we have 203 school days as opposed to the normal 200. So there's no issue there. But it is disruptive in the sense that the rhythm is lost.
Yeah.
And as you pick up the rhythm, then there's another break. But it's an annual event.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Elijah Matlanga of the Department of Basic Education, who said there will be 203 teaching days to transfer, deliver a curriculum to students. But talk to me a little bit about that loss of rhythm with a period of the year that's dotted with public holidays. Currently in my household, I have a grade 2 learner who got a holiday pack in the midterm in the holidays, but I still enjoy going daily with her through homework. And if there's all these little public holidays, even her motivation to continue with some homework is blunted because it's supposed to be a long holiday, Dad. So what impact does it have in terms of that momentum of learning?
Lester, and it is right there in that foundation phase in the junior primary where the rhythm is most difficult to keep because you're trying to establish patterns. You're teaching things like reading, and that is a sustained activity. And when you break it, you almost have to go back to the beginning. And those teachers have to work the hardest to maintain that. And of course, appeal to parents' sensibilities also to keep it going. But as you would know, that is possible in some areas, in some areas it's not. So that is the group. And the other group, of course, is on the other end of the continuum at the higher levels of matric, etc., where you don't want them to lose that rhythm and then find it difficult to pick up and get into the game again. To do that, teachers just have to do extra things, like homework packs, like packs that will say to parents, well, there is something to do with the kids. You can't just rely on a story that says, oh, you must read. That's of no value. You must send something home that will actually sustain that. And yes, children want the holiday, and I'm an advocate for that. Children need the break. Children need the holiday, and children must play. But we've also got to balance it.
Here's a message here that says, teachers, just enjoy the holidays. I know a couple of teachers. I am the product of teachers. Yes, holidays are coincide with when learners are also at home, but you're also then preparing for the next term, and you're preparing for the next week. Basil, maybe you wanna put some of these comments to bed, that teachers get it easy with all these school holidays.
Lester, it will be with us forever. And I'll say it again and again. Nobody sees the time spent at night, early hours of the morning, when people get to school at the crack of dawn to do marking, because they've also got families at home. And these are the things that balance it out. Yes, there are holidays, but don't for 1 minute assume that everybody's actually sitting in front of the television with their legs up. It doesn't happen like that. Our matric teachers are feeling really burnt out because they're spending so much time at school, and we've got to make a better plan. Our foundation phase teachers are really doing a marvelous job. As a former principal of a primary school, I must tell you, the joy when you see a child one day being too scared to greet, and the next day proudly standing up to read something, it says a miracle has happened.
Basil Manuel, Executive Director of Naptosa, explaining that yes, plenty of holidays this time of the year. In fact, a special week-long school holiday next week. They still plan to get those 203 teaching days into the school curriculum.